Hello, today I'm joined by Richard Milner from Dezrez. Richard, how are you doing?
I'm good, David. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Richard. Today we're here to discuss strategy and tactics and how agents can grow their agency in 2023. And obviously we're talking in February. We've just got past Valentine's Day, so we're a good chunk of the month in. But we've also had all of us have had a chance to sort of work out what 2023 is slowly sort of saying to us and doing in terms of the market and what's important to the customers. I
Yeah.
suppose what's most interesting is I'm talking to somebody that works and runs one of the CRMs for the industry. And when we talk about CRMs, we might think it's just a functional part of our business. That it helps us manage our contacts and our marketing and all that sort of stuff. But it can do a lot more to help us in terms of the heavy lifting that we need it to do. So our vision of CRMs now is it's no longer just that digitized sort of Rolodex that we used to use back in the day.
That's right.
This now does so much more. And so with that, I'm just going to throw it at you and say, tell us how it does it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. So generally speaking, most companies have pretty much done their strategy at the start of the year, mainly on the assumption they're using their software, which is the backbone of any business, as you've said, David, to its full potential, or that it's working for them in the right way. My challenge to any company is why not go back a step? Are you fully utilizing that? So there's two examples of that. The first one is, when was the last time an estate agent actually went through and reviewed how their sales process works from one of their customers from start to finish? And does their CRM match that journey? Or is it their estate agency is matching what the CRM does? Really, it should be the CRM matches what they're doing. So, perfect example, if you wanted to grow your business to win instructions, and that's your main strategy, your tactic is obviously put your brand out and more signage as much as possible. If it pays off, great, and it gets more interest, but are you able to sustain that using the current software? So business success is it can be more than what just a customer sees. It's about using the right software with the right capabilities. Now, estate agents, David, you know this, they've been asking for a CRM that does what estate agents want rather than what the CRM thinks the estate agent wants. And I think agents have been crying out for that for a number of years. We've obviously launched Premium a few years ago, which is our Zapier integration. So that enables you to link with thousands of apps. So your Twilios, your Zeros, your MailChimp, Google, social media. And that's really, really benefited estate agents, but we've took it one step further. So imagine being in a position where you can go to your CRM and say, right, what do you want it to do? And us being able to build it. And that's actually in turn now helped us launch professional services. So,
And what's really sort of interesting about this is if I were to, I don't know, if I were to get 100 agents together and sort of ask them all the same question, what is it that you want your tech to do or your software to do or your CRM to do? What do you want it to give you? Some people will say we want leads and we want, that front end sort of marketing because that's kind of where we're focused. The honest truth is it always boils down to the one thing that money cannot buy, and that's time. And we all want to save time. We all want to be given back more time to do other things and to do stuff that isn't tedious admin, if you like. And I think that's one of the most interesting sort of aspects of your software at the moment. And I think you guys all know because we were talking last week about one particular customer that I think we'd brought to you, and their whole thing was that they wanted an automated process for FS leads and for legal referrals. For them, it was making them crazy that their negs had to sort of go through the process of getting all the data, putting it into the system, and then almost putting on a different hat and going across and trying to get a referral in there as well. Whereas really, it's better for the customer, the business, and the person you're referring to if that's a joined up process. And luckily, you guys came to the rescue.
Yeah, which is great. So, I mean, with the professional services side, so we're now able to speak with estate agents based on something they want to do outside of the norm. So we actually encourage any customer or even prospect we're talking to have a notepad and pen by them, because, like you said, if you ask an agent straight away, what do you want your software to do? Most of the time, it'll be a generic answer, as in we want to generate more inquiries, we want to do prospecting, we want good sales progression, we want one-stop solution. But they never really can go down into the delves of it until they actually start really thinking about it. So, and the professional services side has come off the back of that. So it was essentially born out of us speaking to one of our larger customers who had a very, very particular plan of what he wanted his business to do in the future. So he came to us with a schedule of work in that this is what I want my software to do. And we worked with him on that, on the reality of time, what he would do for them, time saving, efficiency, put a schedule of work together, like I said, and we agreed to proceed. And that work has virtually finished already in a very short space of time. And he's already seen the rewards. So qualifying leads as they come into the system before an egg has to do anything with it. Having a leadership, a competition board in his offices on a live TV that updates every single day so his staff can see it. Now, no other software has done that. So we're really, really coming out of, I know we're out of COVID now, but we're coming out of COVID in a different way of thinking. And we're very much positioning ourselves in that case.
I love that use of almost gamification, like having it on a screen in the office, because it keeps everybody focused on, obviously, on targets and stuff like that, but it makes it fun.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, because look, good salespeople, they thrive on competition.
Yeah.
And if you can see someone doing better than you, then it encourages better performance. That's been around for long before my time. So to put that in play is great. Testimonials are coming back off the back of it as well, and we've got now more customers who want to use it. So it's great.
So there is also sort of great functionality that you've got, but some new aspects to it. I mean, we mentioned sort of referrals to almost auto referrals to legal. You've also got a sister company, haven't you, Dezrez Legal, which
right.
makes that even easier to achieve.
Yeah, it does. So Dezrez Legal has been around for quite a considerable time now, but we've never really had it integrated into the software, which we now have. So what does that do? I mean, sales progression is a big part of our core Resi system, but having conveyancing progression right next to it, being able to refer from the software, being able to see when you haven't referred, so it prompts you on that basis, and having one solution that covers all of it is huge. So we've got a number of customers both using the software and our legal service. And to give you a flavour of how that improves the process, the national average is around about 20 weeks in terms of turnaround.
Yep.
Way higher than we've ever experienced. But imagine having one software and one company that brings that down to 16 weeks. And in some cases, even lower than that. So it's just having that ease of solution, having a portal where they can update, they can check progress of their conveyancing as well. It's just enabled us to have an overall solution. And again, there is no other CRM that offers that at the moment. And obviously there's perks. There's perks and benefits to estate agents.
Sure. As well. It's additional revenue as well, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's superb how that's all sort of starting to come together. And I know that you've also got new functionality on your property management side of things as well.
I know,
it's extremely exciting.
It's been a crazy start to the year. Crazy start to the year. So not only obviously we've just discussed two major elements of our business in terms of helping estate agents with bespoke in the software and conveyancing. We've obviously now got full property management within Resi, and we've had that for a number of months now with accounting. So, and it's working great. And obviously it's a one-stop solution, which going back to the strategy side of things at the start.
And that auto banking, for anybody that's been doing it manually, I mean, we use the phrase game changer too much in our industry, but literally that is the ultimate game changer in terms of time and tedious admin. I mean, I cannot tell you the hours that we used to spend getting it right. You would have to check between this ledger, that ledger, the account statements, and you drive yourself crazy with it. But auto banking really does do most of that heavy lifting, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. And again, we're in a very unique position where, because we're a one-stop solution, it literally will be a full one-stop solution. So being able to pay and reconcile and do everything from your software system, as opposed to having to go to the bank and almost duplicate the work. David already said, it's a huge time-saving tool and improves efficiency. Being able to reconcile and actually see everything processed from a payment perspective, and then only having to deal with maybe the areas where you might have put a digit in wrong, etc., and only having to deal with those ones. Imagine having that happen every single day, as opposed to going line by line. And not only that, we're very unique in our solution. Again, I know I keep saying unique, but we are unique because the work we've done on auto banking, if someone doesn't want to go the full auto banking solution, they still get a huge amount of perks from the work we've done with that.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. So anyone taking the manual version of property management, as we'll call it, with accounts, will benefit from that work, in that they won't ever have to import or export statements again from their bank. So instead of when reconciling or anything to do with that process, the normal standard is, right, we want to import a statement from our bank into the system and then do a reconciliation. You won't need to do that because we've got the integration with the banks. So it's just a case of giving them permission to do it. And then you only have to do that every 90 days. And then literally you click reconcile and the same process happens. You just, or the only difference is you're just not making the payment.
Yeah.
And that's just one element.
I mean, and that's entirely down to preference, I suppose, isn't it? It's still difficult for agents to completely sort of cede control, if you like, on all elements. Some people like that belt and braces approach where they've got a certain element of sort of manual checking. But you're right. I think that built-in functionality there, you're going to benefit from it anyway. So when we're talking about agents putting together a strategy, really, because it's hard to plan in a rapidly changing market, and it's hard to know where we're going, and especially anybody that has watched the movement of the market over the last 6 months, and forget about the property market, just go and look at the economy and look at politics, how quickly that's changed. So there's a sense here that we have to, sometimes planning ahead is lovely, but it's not entirely always possible to have all the answers for what's going to be happening in 6 months. So the best that we can do is to future-proof ourselves the best that we can. So what we do today helps us to tackle those rapidly changing moments in 6 months' time.
That's precisely it.
So what questions should agents then be asking themselves to get themselves into a better position to sort of push them in that direction positively?
I would say right at the start of this conversation again, when I said, when was the last time they reviewed their own sales process in terms of what the customer journey is of anyone coming to that estate agent, and what they go through from a sales and letting perspective, or even just booking a valuation? How does that process work from their perspective? If they do that on a regular basis, then they know exactly what their customer is going through with them. And if they can have their CRM following that journey really, really simply and effectively, it's going to make their life significantly easier. And then obviously if steps come out of that where it's not quite up to scratch, then look, Resi is here to obviously come into play and build those elements that are actually going to help take it forwards. I would say always, regardless of who they use, always have a notepad and pen by their desk. at any time on or what if we could do this to improve this in a quicker way, or is there something behind the scenes that we can do that's going to improve our processes? And then I would actually say, well, what are my competition doing? You've got to be aware of what your competition is doing. It would be really naive not to do that. So what, are they doing anything different to us? If so, what is that? Or are they not doing enough? And we, just in case they're reviewing that at the moment to bring themselves in line with what we're doing, well, we want to be ahead of that as well. And then the final question I would ask is, are they educated enough in terms of what is out there? So, what's the next step in terms of technology? It's changing every week. I mean, you'll know this, David, obviously, Kerfuffle and you guys doing your health checks of what estate agents are using, what tech's out there. There seems to be a new tech launching every week now. It used to be once every 6 months. Now it's pretty much every week, and there's so much choice out there.
There is, and I think it's also changed the way that we set sort of KPIs within our businesses as well, because the obvious KPI that we always used to sweat about was number of instructions coming in. So as long as that is, the valuations being booked into the diary are there, everything else will take care of itself. But then you'll leak income on FS referrals. You may leak income on legal referrals because you don't get to it early enough in the process. You're not having those conversations early enough. So setting the KPIs accordingly and having the software to help you to achieve those KPIs. I mean, how great is it for an average negotiator that you're going to sort of try and embed into your business? You'll say, look, this is your goal, is to be as helpful and have really informed discussions with the customers. But we're going to make your life easier as well. So the things that were awkward was always sort of, can we have a chat about who you use as a solicitor? And, can you use these guys? Because, they're really good at this. If you've got an automated step in that process, it makes it flow. It makes it flow, and it improves their chances of actually achieving those KPIs in the long run, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and with around about the KPIs, a big topic at the moment is prospecting. So, what do you do with your own data? Your data is key, but what do you do with it now? How many estate agents, I would go back to strategy, how many are using that data as best as they can? So, for example, you've sold X number of houses in the last year, and the odds are that person, those people they've sold to, probably going to move again within maybe 3 or 4 years because of the way the market is. So you need to keep in touch with those guys regularly. So what if there was a system that automated that? As in, it sends a message after 3 months to see how they are. It sends another message after 6 months to say, oh, did you know this? So that when they're actually deciding to buy again or sell, there's no even thought of going elsewhere. They're going with the company they know and has kept in touch with them, and they've done a professional job. But that estate agent's not had to do anything within their CRM. They've literally, the automation has gone out without them having to do anything.
I think what's super interesting is, I know that you personally, Richard, sort of spend a lot of time, and your forte is really getting to know what a customer's needs are, and you spend that sort of quality time with the customers, and we discussed earlier that you were out visiting some agents just to sort of get an idea of what it is that you can do to assist them more.
Yeah.
Agents themselves can take a lesson from that, because a CRM is not just a means to an end. It is an essential part of that customer journey. And if you can choose a CRM partner that delivers a customer experience that's also pleasant for the end beneficiaries, which are the buyers, the sellers, the landlords, people that are renting, that is ultimately where you get this massive sort of joining up of forces. And I think that really makes a massive difference to your business in the long run, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I always go back to the lost art of selling. I know we did one of these a while back, David, in terms of selling on value, but the lost art of selling, which I think most people in any industry will agree is almost dead. And the lost art of selling is selling on value. It's finding out what someone wants. It's finding out what they want to do in the future. It's future-proofing their business, and then matching it to what they need. So again, I go back to the property management solution, for example. So we've got a number of options now. They can take manual with manual banking, beg your pardon, where they go in and do a manual reconciliation. If they want to take one step further, they can have the full auto banking solution. But we will never go, you've got to do this because it's the best thing since sliced bread. It will match what they need and match what they, from a cost perspective as well. So, and that's really, really important. We're very much not driven by, you've got to have this and you've got to have that, as in a product dump, as I always call it.
Yeah.
It's, well, do you need an out-of-box solution that just does the basics? Well, here you go. No problem.
Yeah.
Or do you want something a bit more complicated? Absolutely fine. No problem. That's how it should work. Based on
in many ways, we've deleted that word selling from our lexicon, because we feel that selling is somehow dirty and it's cheap because we're just trying to get to that point of sale. But if you replace selling with helping, you still get to the same place, but you have a much better conversation with the person, I think.
You really do. You really do. And from my perspective, look, we're happy to talk to anyone. There's a link to my Calendly diary. If anyone wants to book an appointment straight in, absolutely fine. I'm more than happy to come out and see people as well. I think that's really, really important. My sales team are on hand. They're very experienced. David, because one of them used to be at your place.
It's true. So, it's true. And I think that's great because I think that, I mean, I know, we'll name him by name, but we know Adam pretty well. I know a lot of members of your team. They're all super helpful. They're all very cheerful, which is nice. That helps. But also, I think having estate agency experience, being able to sort of say, look, I've sat in that chair and I understand what it is that you have to do.
Absolutely.
I think it helps you reach that customer and get to that point really where you dispense with all the selling side of it and you get on with the helping side of it. And I think that's key. And I'm super pleased to see that it's there. And I know that there's a lot of good feedback about your property management as well, and that aspect of your software. So highly recommend everybody check out your details on kerfuffle.com. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, Richard.
It is, David.
Thank you very much.
In person properly again soon as well.
We will do soon. I'm sure our paths will cross. Thank you.